who Jeffrey Epstein is.
Could you please give us your name?
My name is Jeff.
If you do not know who Jeffrey Epstein is, then I'm gonna fill you in. All right, guys, I'm gonna fill you in pretty good, pretty effectively, I feel like, from point A to point B. Everyone at this point has heard the name Jeffrey Epstein.
Just moments ago, court documents were unsealed, revealing the names of people associated to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
He's an American financier, friend of the elite around the world. Everyone from Bill Clinton to Richard Branson, the Virgin Airlines guy, to there's a picture of him standing near Elon Musk. Also, Donald Turnip. Okay, everyone. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as well. This guy has a lot of connections and friends.
Prince Andrew, former US President Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, and magician David Copperfield. All of their names are mentioned in these previously sealed court documents related to accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
He's kind of the life of the party, or at least we thought, until we found out that he's a massive piece of shit who was convicted of doing a lot of horrible things, and then he died in prison. He died from natural causes in prison. Natural causes in prison. Natural causes. It's an interesting story. He's sort of the Vince Foster of the getting murdered under mysterious circumstances world. The reason that I am talking about this on my channel is because recently, over the last few days, the case has been reopened and there's some documents coming out. There's names being dropped. It's really interesting. We're finding out what people rode Jeffy's plane, what people went to Jeffy's island, what those people who went to the island were doing.
Overnight, more Jeffrey Epstein-related documents were unsealed following a first batch that included names of famous people associated in some way with Epstein, including the actor Kevin Spacey, magician David Copperfield, supermodel Naomi Campbell, former presidents Trump and Clinton.
It's interesting. There's a lot of people who are being thrown under the bus, let's say, by this legal team. So this is a very serious topic, and I'm not the most educated person and probably the least qualified person to be talking about this, to be honest. But if you guys want to see more content like this, smash like. I'm not educated on all ins and outs of this. I'm gonna do my best though. Okay, guys. By the way, Jeffrey Epstein did not do that thing to himself or whatever, you know, but Vince Foster did.
As I tried to explain, especially to the young people on the staff, there is really no way to know why these things happen. And it is very important that his life not be judged simply by how it ended, because Vince Foster was a wonderful man in every way, and because no one can know why things like this happen.
This is a complicated situation. There's a lot of misinformation being circulated, and there's 900 pages of unsealed documents that my team has weeded through to show you guys. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and here's the highlight reel of the Jeffrey Epstein document expose epic extravaganza thing. Another thing, just because I mentioned someone's name doesn't mean that they were implicated in the crimes or involved in the terrible proclivities that are associated with Jeffrey and his island, the island of Jeffy. Also, by the way, not a fucking lawyer, so take everything I say with a massive grain of salt, like a big chunk, and I'm gonna do my best to digest this, process this in an unbiased and knowledgeable way. By the way, I'm not gonna be unbiased. I'm going to be biased. I'm gonna be a little bit biased. We will open this by dispelling rumors and misinformation, things that we can prove are not real. There are a lot of pages to go through here. There's over 940 pages of unsealed documents as of today. That is the 8th of January. To hammer down on the vast amounts of misinformation, it is a literal jungle out there, and it's gonna be difficult to find specific stuff, but we're gonna try to counteract the people that are just saying virtually anything and allege that it's somewhere in these 948 pages, just hoping that someone's not gonna go through. We're gonna try to dispel some falsities. To set the stage, it is important to note that Virginia Giuffre is the woman who is essentially at the center of a lot of these documents coming out, because she's the one suing Jizzy Maxwell, Jeffrey's wife, or wife, I don't know, is she even still alive? I'm not even sure. And this is with another woman known as Joanna Schoberg. There are a ton of transcripts from her deposition. These are both testimonies from victims that dominate all the Epstein files. Now, moving past that, a lot of the misinformation we've seen in regard to the Epstein files is being spread on the internet town hall known as Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. It's called X now. Elon Musk purchased this website for $44 billion, but it is now worth 12. That is a massive L. Moving on past Elon Musk, a lot of the unsealed documents are transcripts of depositions. Mentioned that a bit ago. People are just creating their own depositions that look real and are successfully fooling some people into believing their authenticity. Take the Krasenstein brothers, for example, Ed and Brian. They are two vocal people on Twitter who are not fans of Elon Musk. They used to be known as Trump reply guys, and apparently they're really cringy and they do a lot of really... Twitter is just so bad. The whole thing just sucks. It just fucking sucks. People who disagree with these Krasenstein brothers politically, whether it's a joke or whether it's with malicious intent, have put them into deposition statements claiming that they were involved with Epstein. Look at this epic tweet from MAGA Elvis.
A break-in. The Krasenstein brothers was confirmed on the island, and it's worse than we thought, but we kind of knew.
Did you ever see the Krasenstein brothers on Epstein Island? Yes, I did. Did they ever have S with any of the girl? No, but you said earlier that they had S while on the island. Yes, they did have S, but they only had S with each other. What the heck? Aren't they brothers? Yes, they are. Wow, that's F. The Krasensteins are libtards, by the way, if you couldn't tell by MAGA Elvis's epically fake deposition there. I think that he's not a liberal, to be honest. That guy doesn't care for this. I don't know if MAGA Elvis created this image or if they just saw it and then shared it with their own followers. It's not real. It's very fake. If you couldn't tell, if you search the documents Krasenstein, there's nothing in there. Some people, in fact, have questioned the legitimacy of these claims. Is this for real? I don't think so. Also, I don't think anyone in a deposition says what the f. Mainly, I just thought that was funny. We're dispelling rumors. We're legends on this channel. We keep it unbiased here. After we found this, luckily, community notes also absolutely annihilated most of the people that are posting this fake 6ix9ine page thing. The Krasenstein brothers. They are handsome guys. They got nice teeth. Community notes for the win. We are not on Epstein list. I can confirm this 100%. With that said, at least 43% of my last name is exactly the same as the last 71% of his name, and I once had my attorney with the last name Epstein. The f does that mean? A lot of the misinformation is just jokes. For example, Keemstar tweeted, YouTuber Boogie2988 is on the list. He's insinuating that Boogie2988 is on the Epstein list before he sues me. Joking. It is obviously a joke. Kind of feel bad for Boogie, honestly, because a lot of the replies are just bullying him. He definitely looks like he's on a predator list. This is the least surprising thing I've ever seen. He's just a fat guy. What?
There was one girl that I dated. She liked a lot of childish things. She liked rubber ducks. That's why I have some of these rubber ducks. And one of my favorite memories with her is us sitting in this tub, her playing with rubber ducks as I washed her, and then when we got out, I took her to bed.
We're kind of rocking the same beard right now, me and Boogie. Now, moving on to potentially the most potentially egregious example of someone being associated with Epstein's list at the spread of a rumor, the spread of a misinformation, is my least favorite late night host, Jimmy Kimmel. Aaron Rodgers said that Jimmy Kimmel had connections to Epstein and his island and all that shit. He made a joke about it.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All right.
Aaron Rodgers says he can't wait to pop some bottles when Jimmy's name is revealed on the list. He's accusations. They're just jokes. It seemed like Jimmy did not take them lightly. He's very upset. It's understandable. I'd be disgusted to be associated with Jimothy Epstein. He responded on Twitter saying this: "Dear asshole, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein. Nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up and we'll debate the facts further in court." He's like insinuating he's going to sue him. Valid, honestly, valid, completely valid. I feel like there's boogers in my nose, I think I have boogers in my nose. He's absolutely upset. It's misinformation, though. He's not named. Nothing was unsealed. Aaron Rodgers is a bit of a buffoon. I had a cool mustache a couple years ago, but a bit of a buffoon. Other than that, super easy to disprove. Yet again, by the way, you can just search Kimmel in the document search of all the pages of the Jeffrey Epstein thing. There's no Kimmel. Actually, I take that back. There are 3 mentions of Kimmel, but they're not Jimmy Kimmel. It's some other guy. Even old Rob Schneider let it rip on Jimmy Kimmel. You, Jimmy Kimmel, asking for hospitals to not treat unvaccinated patients and letting them die in hospitals' corridors was dangerous, wrong, and shameful. Fed into people being fired, demonized, and ostracized. And you never apologize. And now we're just devolving back into 2020. That was a Rob Schneider impression, but I think that maybe it was just really offensive. You can do it. That's what I was like, the you can do it thing. You can do it. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So we're going back to the, yeah, he doesn't like unvaccinated people, though. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't like people who are unvaccinated. By the way, Jimmy Kimmel isn't squeaky clean. There's a bunch of shit that he's a comedian. He did blackface and stuff. I'm not. He's allegedly behaved inappropriately with women.
Tell us what you think of the statue. I mean, do you think that she's
Do you think that I mean, do you think that she's attractive or not?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's like, that's what people are saying. It's inappropriate behavior. Seems like clown behavior. Seems like maybe it's a bit or something we just don't understand the full context of. I really don't know. At what point do jokes go too far? It's not for me to say. Beyond just Jimothy Kimmel, one of the last and potentially the funniest examples of misinformation being spread around has to do with someone whose name does actually appear in the document. It is Stephen Hawking. You've seen the memes. I'm sure you've seen the memes.
All right, we're clear. I'm telling you, man, this shtick is getting so old. That chair smells, dude. Hey, Steve, surf's up. Bitch.
This shit is wild. There are a ton of memes about Stephen Hawking being present at the Epstein Island. In the actual unsealed documents, there is an email from Jeffrey to Ghislaine Maxwell asking for her to find someone to come forward to disprove allegations of Stephen Hawking being a participant in an underage O-word. Now that is a disproval email. That's something that Jimothy and Jizzy were known to work around. They had to disprove these sorts of things amongst their friends so they could keep the bit going. Their favorite bit, which is being fucking freaks. I've got to say, Jeffy is bad at spelling. If you need me to translate this, because his spelling is so bad, I will. Jeffy is asking Jizzy to offer an award to any friends or acquaintances or family members that will deny the legitimacy of one of Virginia Giuffre's allegations made. Virginia, once again, is the victim that appears basically at the center of all these unsealed documents. As a result of his name just being in any of this, it has been memed into oblivion. There are a bunch of fake depositions. Here's one. Hold on one sec. Wait, are you telling me that Stephen Hawking frequented the island for pleasure? Yep. Jeffrey loved to have intellectuals visit the island so he could reward them for their hard work for humanity and for other darker reasons. Did Jeffy ever talk to you about Stephen Hawking proclivities? Yes. He liked watching undressed midgets solve complex equations on a too high up chalkboard. That is not funny at all. By the way, here's some epic memes. I'm eating a Pop-Tart because it's late and I'm really hungry and I'm running out of energy. Now to Jeffrey's Island of Horrors. Little St. James Island was Jeffrey Epstein's private domicile, Jesse style.
This is my own private domicile and I will not be harassed.
Bruh.
Many celebrities would come visit and meet and gather for strange, prestigious parties. Illuminati type shit. I hate rich people. It's important to note that what actually happened on the island, few will know for sure, and us as the public will probably never really be able to find out the 100% truth because so many people conspired to sweep this under the rug for such a long time. One thing that the public, us, absolutely does know now is that horrible things happened there. Incredibly illegal, disgusting, dark, depraved things. The resort had frequent visitors. It was raided by the FBI after Jeffrey's arrest. Only they got to see the horrors. The public was left in the dark. The island had underground tunnels, as you can see from these pictures here. A lot of you know that the wealthy are always concerned about Armageddon. For example, Mark Zuckerberg building his fucking bunker wherever the hell he's building his bunker at. I don't even know. Dude, I don't do research. All right, I just gave up on that a long time ago. The point is the island had tunnels. We don't know if Jeffrey Epstein intended on having like an underground bunker or something like that, or it's literally as simple as being able to do bad things away from the eye of the public, because you don't want to have illegal shit going on where someone could fly a little drone over or something like that. For example, a bunch of people have snuck onto the island and visited the famous white and blue box.
That's me running towards the satanic temple of the evil billionaire Jeffrey Epstein on his private island swarming with security.
We did it. We did it.
We have this blueprint of what's inside that little ugly blue building, but no one but the FBI and the absolute depraved creatures that visited the island will ever know what's in there or what's underground. One thing that's interesting is while the FBI was raiding the island, a fellow used a drone to record some footage and they peeked into the FBI's business and they quickly covered the window. Isn't this crazy? Hurry, hurry! We have to cover the windows before they find out we're destroying evidence. Hurry, hurry! Let's use these Home Depot boxes. Is it just me, or do you guys also distrust the government and all of its agencies, the FBI included? It's almost like they were created to prevent true checks and balances that our founding fathers intended. Or something like that. I don't really know. Those fellas in there didn't really look like they were doing much. They were just standing around drinking some Modelo's probably.
It's Modelo time, boo.
The island holds a lot of mystery, but this wasn't all of Jeffethy's places of residence. He had a bunch of different properties. He's, Jeffrey Epstein financier. He had a home in New Mexico, a home in Palm Beach, a 40-room home in Manhattan, which is insane. That must have cost billions of dollars, or I don't really know a lot about money. Then he also had his weird-ass island. The Manhattan house is of note. It was full of strange, creepy rooms and trinkets. There's a bizarre-ass massage table where a lot of horrible things went down, according to the documents. This art... Who is that? Why are these people so weird? By the way, the building was sold for $51 million after a judge denied the request to freeze the sale. Not sure who the fuck would buy this place, but I think they should be heavily investigated, to be honest. His New Mexico house got a creepy bathroom. It's got a shower and eye view. It's kind of odd, but it's out in like the middle of nowhere. This is just strange. It looks like the back rooms. It's odd. It's eerie. Also, what a massive shower. So unnecessary. This is like enough cleaning products for 30 people. This place was sold for what we think is around $18 million, but the true price was never disclosed, and it was picked up by a newly registered company, which that happens when people buy houses. Sometimes they'll form a trust or buy it in the name of an LLC and like a shell corp just to protect their identity. That's not super strange, but it's also curious. The Palm Beach house is yet another massive mansion that is owned by Jeffethy Epstein. This is said to be one of the main places he would traffic teenage girls. Plenty of people stated that they saw girls coming in and out of this place all the time. This place isn't as scary as the one in Manhattan, but it definitely has a creepy, weird, sinister vibe. I mean, there's a dental apparatus in this room. That's strange. And of course, another massage table. And by God, this is ugly as This is so ugly. Why would they have this? Why would they have their house looking like this? Another interesting thing about the Palm Beach house, staff of there were given a handbook on how they should act and work. They were given direct, detailed instructions on how to treat guests. How strange is that?
Appearance is extremely important if high standards are to be maintained. A favorable first impression goes a long way. Personal cleanliness. Try to anticipate the needs of Mr. Epstein, Miss Maxwell, and their guests. Make guests feel pampered and welcome. Do not discuss personal problems. Unobtrusiveness is the key. Wear appropriate clothing. Do not chew gum. Smile!
There's some weird specifics too. They requested $100 in the glove box of any car that Jeffy used, and sometimes a loaded gun in the drawer of wherever he would sleep. Bizarre. Strange. Sounds like a very, very, very suspicious, paranoid man. I don't know why anyone would sleep with a gun.
The gun bed is quite possibly the biggest breakthrough in home defense since the invention of the firearm.
Dude knew that people knew that he was up to no good. He was ready to flee with that $100 and he was ready to just go out guns blazing, I bet. No, he wasn't. He was a massive... yeah, I think. Now, the best part of the Palm Beach place, though, is that it has been demolished. No one can buy it, investigate it, or ever think about what happened there ever again. I like that. I think all of the places should have been destroyed, personally. It's just, why would you ever let this sell? Now we get to the more grave and serious parts, because this is everything that's happened after the lion's share of the investigation has been completed. This all sort of came to a head in 2019. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. He was held in containment with 24/7 watch, making sure he would be safe until trial because of how many powerful, rich friends were implicated in the things that he was doing. He needed 24-hour protection so he wouldn't be murdered and killed. But alas, he is found dead. Magically, the cameras turned off. The guards disappeared. Jeffrey was not under watch. He was murdered. I mean, no, he harmed himself. That's the official story, Vince Foster style.
There is really no way to know why these things happen.
And evidence points towards that being true. Marks around his neck, etc. But just before, a psychiatrist approached Epstein and he was in good spirits, stating that he didn't feel S-worded. He didn't feel like he didn't want to live on Earth anymore. He felt good. So we, as the public, are supposed to believe, under the official story ruled this way by every single government body and social media platform, we are supposed to believe that a man under constant surveillance hung himself and cameras didn't work and guards weren't around.
And we'll just have to live with something else we can't understand, I think.
Likely story, brother. Just kidding. I protect and serve. I love this country. What the fuck is a kilometer? After this happened, the correctional facility was shut down, and in 2021, the officers were charged for not checking up on him. That marked the end of his life. He got away with it. But now, his associates and close friends seem to be on the public watch list now. It's interesting. It's a bit like a game of Among Us, but it's just Hollywood instead of a spaceship. And it's just a win-win for all of us watching. It doesn't matter who the imposter is. We don't care. They will all burn for eternity. You can really tell how much Hollywood is like a game of Among Us when you watch this clip from back in 2020 where Ricky Gervais made an Epstein joke. Everyone was very uncomfortable.
You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
Yeah, they're seeing whose fucking facades were cracking, looking around. That was 2020. Now we have proof. We can see exactly who's been in these documents and who Virginia and Joanna have been naming. So this is the names in the books and the associated people who are implicated in all this nonsense. We'll break this up into 2 sections: people with more information to talk about and people with less information to talk about. Both prominent, but more and less. There's this guy named Jean-Luc Brunel. Ever heard of him? I haven't until just now. He was a French model scout, and I say was because he died in February of 2022, and we'll talk about how he died shortly. He was accused of a bunch of terrible things throughout the unsealed documentation. He's one of the primary men that Virginia is accusing of doing these horrible things. Jean-Luc was also accused of procuring women and underage girls for Epstein, and outside of this specific situation, he's been accused of doing a lot of the things that happened with Epstein to women in the modeling world for 30 years.
This man, the head of Karen Models, one of the largest and most prestigious agencies in the country. His name is Jean-Luc Brunel.
It's a meat market. You are there for the purpose of somebody wanting to take you home to bed. He is acting as a matchmaker. He's got the agency. He's got the girls. His friends say, oh, Jean-Luc, I'd like to meet some girls, or we're having a party tonight. Can you bring some girls? And what happens if you say no? You don't work.
This dude is a massive piece of shit. He died. Guess how he died? By hanging in a prison cell. Why do they let people, how do you let people, why is this a thing? Just make him go in there fucking naked. Put a burlap sack around him. Why is this a thing? Why are you letting him take the easy way out like this, man?
There is really no way to know why these things happen.
They should be strung up and beaten like fucking piñatas or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Next. Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Is it just me, or do you guys think we should go back to a monarchy? The feudal system really had a lot to offer. This dweeb is the 3rd child of the now passed Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, the dude with the big sausage fingers. This fella's name showed up in the unsealed documents and also in another batch of Epstein documents. They allege him to be one of the worst offenders of them all. I don't even want to read this shit. If you guys want to read the specific things, you can look it up. I don't really want to read any of this. It's horrible. Jane Doe, it's disgusting. People around the prince were instructed to give the prince whatever he demanded, which is horrible. Virginia spoke out about him, and also Joanna. A bunch of up shit happened. I really don't want to get into it on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to dig deeper, then go ahead. Just know that this guy is being accused of being a bad guy. The information about Prince Andrew has been out for a while, and you know, what happened, right? Like, this is just, this guy's still alive, unlike Jean-Luc. Back in 2022, he settled a sexual abuse lawsuit with Virginia. He didn't admit guilt in the settlement, but he paid her nonetheless. So we know that that just means he was guilty, right? He also made a substantial donation to a charity in support of victims' rights. He can deny whatever the he wants, but everyone already knows the truth. He's disgusting. He's a human piece of garbage. He even did an interview back in 2019 on BBC Newsnight, kind of trying to repair his image after the first big chunks came out.
Normally, we'd be discussing your work, your duty. We'll come on to that. But today, you've chosen to speak out for the first time. Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated.
But he admitted to being on the plane, staying on the island, being in his Palm Beach home, visiting Jizzy's house in London.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
You've visited Ghislaine Maxwell's house in Belgravia in London.
Yeah.
He also diminished the severity of Epstein's crimes, calling them unbecoming, not disgusting.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming?
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
He also admitted going to seeing Jeffrey to tell him that they shouldn't be seen together following his conviction.
Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted, it was inappropriate for us to be seen together.
Didn't call him. He went to see him. Yo, dude, just chill, Jeffy. Don't worry. We just can't be seen together until things cool down, man. Go hang out at your private domicile. Then, even after saying he doesn't want to be seen with Jeffy, the interviewer calls him out and says that he stayed with Jeff for 4 days after supposedly breaking up their weird bromance.
I'm just trying to work this out because you said you went to break up the relationship and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering how long.
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
As a result of the sexual assault case, he had his military and royal responsibilities returned to the Queen, and then she died shortly after. I think it's great that this dude has faced so many consequences. I think there's no room for people like this in our society, regardless of whether or not they're members of the royal family. I think anyone in any position of power, especially royalty or democratic leadership, there needs to be extra scrutiny because these people are evil. Then you have this dweeb named Alan Dershowitz, who is a high-profile lawyer who has a long history with Jeffrey Epstein. He publicly defended Jeffrey in 2008 with a sexual abuse case where Jeff was accused of leading a child sex ring, and he got away with a plea deal that led some to believe that federal prosecutors secretly negotiated with Jeffrey and his team, aka Dershowitz, back in 2007. And why would federal prosecutors do this? Well, let's see. Weird. Why would that be hanging in his house? Strange. Why would someone claim something that's just simply not true? Odd. So weird. We should start electing people that are good and nice and kind to the federal government. Is this the world's greatest defense attorney, or is this beyond the pale? I don't know. I'll let you guys be the judge. Back to Alan. He appears in the new unsealed documents a whole lot. He was a close friend of Epstein, and there are allegations of Virginia and another woman, Jane Doe number 3, being forced to be with him. Alan Dershowitz even posted on his YouTube channel, The Der Show with Alan Dershowitz. He posted a video called The Epstein List and Guilt by Association.
Welcome back to the Der Show. The list, the infamous list, the Jeffrey Epstein list of the hundreds of people who had associations with Jeffrey Epstein is being disclosed. Of course I'm on the list. I was his lawyer. I flew on his plane with other lawyers several times for legal meetings in Florida and other proceedings.
Bro, that's not guilt by association. You defended a genuine predator, maybe the greatest predator of our time, and I use the word great in a negative way. He's the most effective, successful bad guy villain ever, really, in modern times. Well, not that successful because he got murdered in prison. You defended him.
Just because I defended him doesn't mean I'm implicated.
I don't understand. Dude loves f***ing yapping in his video, though. It's pretty awesome. He calls out the head of NASA and says that he's a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein.
I took my nephew on a flight to Cape Canaveral to see a satellite launch. I was invited by the head of NASA through his close friend Jeffrey Epstein to see the launch, like so many others.
He calls out the president of Harvard and Nobel Prize winners and says they're all associated with Epstein.
So there are lots of people on that list and lots of different categories. There are people who were associated with him academically, like the president of Harvard, people who are nominated for the Nobel Prizes in science, who went to academic lunches with him. He had an office right outside of Harvard in Brattle Square.
He's doing this to group himself with high-profile, respectable people that, you know, were on Epstein's list. It's strange. The most disgusting part, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, is when he says that he had an innocent relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and he didn't suspect or know of him doing any terrible things.
I had an innocent relationship with a man who I didn't know, nobody suspected, had done anything wrong. Indeed, when my granddaughter had a soccer tournament, he lent us his house in Florida. He wasn't there, but my whole family, my grandchildren, my daughter stayed there. There were no pictures on the wall or anything that would lead anyone to suspect that anything anything untoward was going on.
Even though he defended him in 2008 and accepted a plea deal where he pled guilty. What the f does that mean? Am I just ignorant? That doesn't make any sense. That's like 2 + 2 is 5. What the f? Bro loves diminishing credibility of accusations, especially the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. It's kind of like his thing. We got this fella, Bill Richardson, as well. He's the former governor of New Mexico. He denied the claims and stuff like everyone does. He died back in September of 2023 in his sleep of seemingly natural causes. He didn't look like the healthiest guy, so that makes sense. It's another guy. Donald Trump as well. Apparently he took shelter in his casino or something. I'm not really sure. Trump specifically said he had a falling out with him, and then he said, "I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan. Not tremendous." Also, Michael Jackson was named. She didn't accuse him of any wrongdoing, though, but they met at the house, Palm Beach. Even Joanna Sjoberg met him. There are a lot of names on this list. George Lucas is on the list. Stephen Hawking. I mean, it's crazy. I'm excited to see how this all ends up, and I'm excited to see where this all goes. And yeah, I feel like even if you're not guilty of doing anything horrible, just simply being named on Jeffrey Epstein's list is a big fat L, and should lead you to rethink your decisions in life for being associated with a legitimate villain. Anyways, Jeffrey Epstein, what do you guys think? Comment down below.